Pressure is not punishment. It is proof that something inside you is expanding. What feels like too much is often what is making you strong enough to handle what you asked for. The ground that once felt steady starts to shake because what's been growing beneath it is pushing upward. The discomfort is not failure. It is movement. When you pray for growth, you rarely imagine the stretching that comes with it. You wanted increase, but increase requires space, and space must be created. That creation often starts with disruption. You may feel like everything is closing in, but this is the moment your capacity is being tested. The more it presses, the more potential it releases. Pressure pulls power from places you did not know existed. Do not confuse compression with collapse. What feels like weight is often preparation. Gold is refined through heat. Diamonds are formed under force. Strength only knows how to grow through resistance. You are being shaped, not shattered. You are being refined, not reduced. Every moment of tension is carving the vessel that will hold your next season. So breathe. Stay planted. Keep pushing through what feels uncomfortable. The pressure is not the enemy. It is the sign that breakthrough is near. When it finally comes, you will realize it was not meant to crush you. It was meant to clarify you, to make sure that when you rise, you can hold what you once only dreamed of carrying. Let me slow this down for a second because this part usually gets missed. When pressure shows up, the instinct is to explain it away or escape it as fast as possible. We want answers. We want timelines. We want reassurance that what we're feeling means something good is coming. But pressure rarely gives explanations up front. It just sits there. It presses. It stays. And the longer it stays, the more uncomfortable it becomes. That's usually when people decide something must be wrong. But what if nothing is wrong at all? You might not realize this while you're in it, but pressure has a way of revealing how you actually respond when things don't resolve quickly. Not how you say you respond, how you really do. Do you rush? Do you overthink? Do you start questioning decisions you were once confident about? Do you pull back? Do you distract yourself? Pressure brings all of that to the surface, not to shame you, but to show you where growth is still unfinished. A lot of people think pressure means they made a bad choice somewhere along the way, like, if things were truly aligned, they'd feel smoother, easier, clearer. But growth doesn't work like that. Growth often feels awkward before it feels expansive. It feels tight before it feels stable. It feels demanding before it feels empowering. Pressure isn't evidence that you missed something. It's often evidence that you're standing at the edge of something that requires more from you than you've ever given before. And that's the part we don't talk about enough. Breakthrough requires capacity, not just desire, not just faith, not just vision. Capacity. The ability to hold more responsibility, more visibility, more impact, more consequence. Pressure is what builds that capacity, slowly, methodically, sometimes painfully. It strengthens your internal structure so that when things finally open up, you don't fold under the weight of what you asked for. You've probably noticed that pressure doesn't show up all at once. It layers. A little more responsibility here, a little less margin there. Expectations increase. Decisions carry more weight. Time feels tighter. And suddenly, what once felt manageable feels heavy. That's not life being unfair. That's life asking if you're ready to level up the way you said you wanted to. Pressure also exposes how attached we are to comfort. Let me say this again. Pressure also exposes how attached we are to comfort, not just physical comfort, but mental comfort. Familiar routines, predictable outcomes, knowing what's coming next. Pressure disrupts that. It introduces uncertainty. And uncertainty is where most people start negotiating with themselves. They start asking if it's worth it, if they should slow down, if they should simplify, if they should go back to something that felt easier. That negotiation is part of the process, but staying there too long is where growth stalls. What pressure is really doing is asking you to become more honest with yourself. I hear you asking, honest about what? Honest about what you're capable of. Honest about what you've been avoiding. Honest about which habits are no longer strong enough to support where you're going. It shines a light on the gaps between intention and execution, between vision and discipline, between what you want and what you're willing to sustain. And here's something people don't expect. Pressure doesn't just build strength, it builds discernment. You start noticing what drains you faster, what distracts you more easily, what no longer fits the season you're in. Conversations feel heavier, obligations feel louder, noise becomes harder to tolerate. That's not impatience, that's clarity being sharpened. Pressure refines your focus by making misalignment uncomfortable. You might also notice that as pressure increases, external motivation stops working. Applause doesn't carry the same weight. Validation doesn't last as long. Even encouragement starts to feel hollow if it isn't grounded in action. This is where discipline begins to matter more than inspiration. Pressure trains you to move without needing constant reinforcement. It teaches you to show up because it matters, not because it feels good. There's also a quieter transformation happening that most people never name. Pressure teaches emotional regulation, how to stay steady when things feel tight, how to respond instead of react, how to pause instead of panic. That skill alone changes everything, because once you can stay calm under pressure, you stop making decisions from fear. You start making them from clarity. That's when progress becomes sustainable. You've probably handled things recently that would have overwhelmed you in earlier seasons, not because the situations got easier, but because you got stronger. Your nervous system learned how to hold more. Your mind learned how to prioritize better. Your emotional range expanded. That didn't happen by accident. That was pressure doing its work over time. Pressure also prepares you for endings, not abrupt ones, but necessary ones. Sometimes what feels heavy isn't meant to be carried forward. Pressure reveals when something has become too small, too limiting, too constricting. Endings aren't always loss. Sometimes they're redirection, wisdom applied forward, starting again, but from a deeper place. And here's the part that often surprises people. When the breakthrough finally arrives, it doesn't always feel dramatic. It often feels calm, quiet, almost normal, because by the time it shows up, you're already capable of holding it. You're not scrambling, you're not desperate, you're steady. Pressure already did the hard work before the opportunity ever appeared. That's why pressure deserves a different response. Not fear, not resistance, not constant analysis, awareness, presence, trust. Pressure is not random. It shows up when something inside you is ready to grow beyond its current limits. It's the signal that expansion is already happening, even if the results aren't visible yet. So if things feel heavy right now, pause instead of panicking. If the pressure is rising, resist the urge to label it as failure. Ask a better question. What is this developing in me? What strength is being trained? What capacity is being expanded? This isn't the season to rush through or retreat from. It's the season to become capable. Stay with it. Stay grounded. Let the pressure do its work. What's forming now will determine not just what you reach, but how well you can sustain it when you get there.